Hello, this is Nathan, better known as CrazyhermitDM, and this is my podcast, The Hermit Homebrew. Joining me today is Brent from Lang Mini Studios, and Chase, better known as Kilk, as we talk about Dungeons & Dragons and tabletop gaming. Alright, so tonight we're diving into our first top 10 episode. It was requested by an audience member a while back. We're going to go one step further because that's what we do. We're going to go dive into, we have dived into every single edition of D&D, and we've come up with what is the top 10 most unexpectedly deadliest monsters. And this is the list me and Brent has compiled. From a sentient slime on the ceiling to shadows that drain the life right out of you, we're counting down right now the top 10 most unexpected deadliest monsters in D&D, drawn from every edition. Let's go ahead and grab our little hireling to grab a torch and go into these dungeons. Number 10 is the green slime. Now, I know not even a creature in a traditional sense, just it's an ooze clinging to walls and ceilings, but to have it drop on you, which I've had done. You've had it happen in most recent episode or most recent session of our own home campaign. But this green slime, you're like reading up on it and all what it can do, and like we weren't even fully like realizing from memory exactly what it can dissolve. And
I just thought it would go and like just fall on you, and it was like acid and stuff. But no, it even has the ability to like eat up like weapons and armor and stuff because it's acid.
It dissolves flesh and metal, and within technically seconds. Within round, if a round counts as 6 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
Most players don't even see it until it's too late, and many early adventuring deaths feel unfair. And in particular, out of our research, out of all the editions, it was really the first edition.
Mm-hmm.
Green slime that I felt was the most deadliest.
Yeah, especially at the beginning of when you have players that are just starting out, and the green slime is it's deceptively deadly because it's not that hard, supposedly. I mean, it's got so many things that it's vulnerable to, like frost and fire and stuff. Some of them it's even sunlight that hurts it. So it's not like it. If you hit it with one of those, then you're probably going to live. But if it gets a surprise on you, it could kill you quicker than people would expect.
I know, for instance, I remember back when we were playing 4th edition, there was a slime in that very first module. The very first module I ever played was called Keep of the Shadowfell, which was the adventure path that eventually led you fighting Orcus in 4th edition. But you start off in this town of Winterfell, and you go eventually through a set of adventure and then to the big final kind of dungeon, which is this keep. And then one of the areas had a slime in it, which took my character out.
Oh.
And that was in 4th edition. It is truly I think, and on top of that, it's just an iconic monster just from any edition of D&D.
Oh, yeah. Like if you're playing D&D and you see this, like, you know what it is. Yeah. Number 9 is the choker, specifically from 3rd edition. Described as a small, like, emaciated aberration, mainly lurks in shadows and stuff like that, dungeons, underground, whatever. And it's kind of one of those interesting ones that it has a natural long reach. Its melee attack is not 5 feet, it's 10 feet. And it can grapple and strangle, and it excels at that. That's why it's called a choker. Specifically in 3rd edition, though, it's got a high dexterity and multiple attacks. If it sneaks up and it gets behind you and it gets to your casters or your ranged attackers or whatever, you could probably take them out in 1 or 2 rounds, or if you have multiple chokers, you could take them out pretty quick. Being that I think they were only challenge rating 1. So you would think like, oh, I don't need to worry about it. They're, challenge rating 1, but they have the multi-attack, so they can make, I think it's 2 attacks per round. They have reach, which is 10 feet. Each hit is bludgeoning, piercing damage. They have, if it's a larger, smaller creature, they have the grappling effect. And one of the weird ones that I was reading up on is that it has aberrant quickness. And it can take an extra action on its turn.
Really?
Yeah, so it can move and it can attack twice, which means it attacks 4 times. Because if it uses its multi-attack, it gets 2 attacks. Then it can do aberrant quickness and attack again.
And I do remember from our research that it was only a CR2.
Oh, okay,
top of
CR2. Okay.
And the thing that got me was just because 3rd edition, obviously, you gave monsters feats and all that. You just didn't give them abilities.
Exactly.
It had the improved initiative, which obviously you mentioned gave it the ability to move faster and hit those, possibly sink behind the line, so to speak, in 3rd edition and hit those casters or those long-ranged people.
So yeah, it's deceptively, for its challenge rating, and it doesn't have that many hit points. I think it's like between 10 to 20 hit points, something like that.
Yeah, that and
16,
top of that,
yeah.
they perch on the ceiling.
Yeah, hides in the ceiling. If you're not looking for it and it drops down, it can take a weak character out pretty quick.
I mean, that is the basis. If you guys have watched a previous episode of ours where we talked about how Brent's character got taken out by an intellect devourer,
Stupid dog brains.
Put my own homebrew version of chokers, which are just these 4 mimicked pillars, and they took down the you and Tove.
Yeah, they took almost. It was 1 round almost.
And I think
it took 2 rounds for the
and
thing.
You guys were in level 10 or 12 at that point. I mean, these things, even at higher levels, aren't things to be taken lightly and should just be instantly just hit it as fast as you can.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of one of those things where if you metagame but the thing is, Nate did a really good job of not having it show up of what it looked like. It looked different, so we didn't automatically know, this is what it is.
I just used terrain miniatures.
Yeah, exactly. So it's definitely one of those ones where we didn't know what it was, and it took us a round or 2 to figure out what it was, and by then, I was already down. So yeah, these are nasty little things. Yeah.
This episode's been brought to you by... In the age of sagas and songs, don't let your next TTRPG be left to the Norns alone. Let the fate of your character be carved in runes and cast in metal, liquid core, or prismatic glass. Let the players of your table wield dice worthy of Odin, Thor, Loki, and yes, Heimdall. Heimdall dice worthy of guarding the Bifrost with. Claim the glory of Valhalla with HeimdallDice.com. Heimdall Dice, the official Nordic dice of the Hermit's Homebrew podcast. Number 8 is in 5th edition, the Banshee.
Mm-hmm.
While her ghostly wail is an iconic feature, the real horror is how easy it is to underestimate her, in my opinion. 1 failed saving throw against her wail ability, you are instantly at 0. Just boom, down.
Yeah, no damage roll, yeah. Absolutely.
In 5th edition, this often leads to instant party wipe if you are unprepared, which is already hard to do in that edition. It is hard to take out a party in that edition unless the dice rolls are really not in your favor.
Yeah, exactly. You got like your saves and stuff, and like with me, like even that's why with Merrick, I've taken weird feat choices just because Merrick's been like we're gonna get to it later, but how Merrick died, that's right. I took a feat to give me proficiency in intelligence saves because it killed him. So I'm gonna have to, I gotta
because of our
that.
number 2.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
We'll get to.
Yeah, we're gonna get to it later, but yeah.
But banshees, like even in folklore, were just nasty creatures as well, and they translated so well over to D&D.
Oh yeah.
If you're playing a unprepared low-level party traveling the, quote-unquote Irish countryside or some facsimile of, then you guys are screwed.
Okay, yeah, just to read, the Banshee's wail once per day. Banshee releases a mournful wail provided that she isn't in sunlight. This wail has no effect on constructs or undead. All other creatures within 30 feet of her that can hear her must make a Constitution saving throw DC 13. On a failure, a creature drops to 0 hit points. On a success, they still take 3d6 psychic damage. So you fail a Constitution save, you're 0. Nothing else happens. Yeah, do not pass go. Do not collect $200. You're done. Hopefully you got Constitution saves. That's not your dump stat. Hopefully.
On top of that, the Banshee has, in 5th edition, the Horrifying Visage, which
Oh
is the
yeah.
60 feet area effect, which it's a lot weaker than the Ghost, which ages you if you fail
Yeah.
it by so much. But a frightened target, it frightens a target up to 1 minute, which you cannot attack. Basically, it gives a disadvantage. If I remember how frightened works exactly right in 5e, at least that's how we've always played it. Is a frightened target has disadvantage against the source of its fear.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, they can repeat it. Also, it has an incorporeal movement, which means it can just phase in and out of objects, so it can go through a wall if it wants to, or it also has detect life. A banshee can magically sense a presence of creatures up to 5 miles away that aren't undead or constructs. So she knows
She knows you're coming.
she knows you're
Five
coming out.
miles.
Yep. She know
Sheesh.
there's no getting the drop on her unless you have. It's a low level party. You're not getting the drop on a banshee if you're playing a banshee rules as
Yeah, if
written.
you're playing, yeah, exactly. Number 7, we have got the Sturge. For those of you who don't know off the top of your head, Sturges are tiny. They're tiny beasts. They are kind of like a cross between a mosquito and a bat. And individually, they're not that strong. They're just a challenge rating 1/8. But what the problem is that if you have maybe 10 or 20 of these things, the swarm is where it's bad. They can their ability is called Blood Drain, and they can attach to somebody. And if they're attached, they do not need to make a roll. Completely bypasses armor class. They will deal 1d4 plus 3, or on average 5 damage to you of blood loss. If you've got a couple of these things latched onto you, every round that's 5, 10, 15, 20 hit points per round, no matter what. Low level characters, I don't care who you are, you can have your constitution be maxed out, you can be rolling max on your hit points. If you're 5th level or below, these can kill you in like 1 or 2 rounds.
Even in 5th edition, which out of, I think, any of the editions that we really looked these guys up on,
Yeah.
5th edition, we really feel this is the most deadly.
Yeah, especially for the low level characters. Because, yeah, it just, when attached. Okay, let me see if I can find it. While attached, the Sturge does not attack. Instead, at the start of the Sturge's turn, the target loses 5 or 1d4 or whatever hit points due to blood loss. And it can even detach itself by spending 5 feet of its movement, and then it can leave. If it does so after draining 10 hit points of blood loss from the target, or the target dies, the Sturge can detach itself by spending 5 feet of its movement, and it usually does this after draining either 10 points of health, or it just decides to, or if the creature dies. However, they're easy to get rid of, but you have to use an action to get rid of 1. You can't use your action to get rid of 5. You have to get rid of. You have to simply say, "I'm going to get rid of one of the Sturges." You can grab one and pull it off of you. That's why the swarm is bad. You get 4 or 5 of them on you. You have to spend 1 action getting it off of you. Then there's 4 left. Next round, that's 20 damage. Spend an action, get rid of 1. Next round, 15 damage. So it just keeps stacking until you get. Now you can have all of your players help you, or you can do what the wizard did to my character one time and dropped fireball. Thanks, Amy. I really appreciate it. And then, yeah, okay, cool. It killed all of them, but I also took that damage too. So it's definitely a drain on your action economy to get rid of some of these things.
I will say, though, for anyone that's listening and is a more recent fan of D&D or tabletop games in particular, and they got into this because of Stranger Things, I'm pretty sure these were the inspiration behind Demo Bats in the latest season of Stranger Things.
I would agree with that. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you're
Number
right.
6, we're going back to the 1989 or the 1990s with this one because we picked the Gibbering Mouther from 2nd edition. The Gibbering Mouther is something straight out of a Lovecraftian horror novel, as is. It's a mass of flesh, mouths, and eyes that babbles with maddening voices, and it just, ugh. It confuses and restrains and it blinds an adventurer. And in second edition, it's even just nastier. Their ability to drag characters into themselves.
They can envelop.
They're not dragging you along, they're dragging you into them and mangle them while inside, while the party could be sleeping because of confusion. It just makes them even more than just a squishy blob that you might see with a, nothing to put down, a gelatinous cube, one of the most iconic characters. But in my opinion, this is an elevated, engulfing creature. And the gibbering mouther is just something even I, after 16 years of dungeon mastering, that I do not use that often, I'll be honest, just because it goes underneath the radar. Not to say that it doesn't deserve it, though. But in second edition, this thing's just a hair bit deadlier, I feel, than any of the other editions, just because of some of its abilities.
Yeah, specifically, I know we ran I ran one of these in 4th edition, and Tove was playing an alchemist, and she had a staff that luckily dealt acid damage. And so she was wailing on this. This was in 4th edition, and they dealt with it pretty easily. But it's just, and so I got kind of curious on that one because the way it was described and it was shown, my players reacted very negatively to this. Just massive skin and teeth and eyes and all that fun stuff. When we didn't get to its absorbing ability because it didn't last that long. But if a gibbering mouther actually kills somebody, it gets absorbed by it pulls them into themselves, and it gives the mouther another mouth and another pair of eyes, and permanently raises the gibbering mouther's hit points. So if this thing is intelligent and it's slowly like taking people out and absorbing them, it can get, theoretically, if you want to be a very cruel DM, an infinite number of mouths and eyes and everything. Now, granted, I think the rules state that it's limited by its like hit dice or something. But if you want to be nasty with it and make a long running or upscale it, you can eat like a dozen people and get bigger and have more mouths and more eyes, and it's just one of those ones that as it kills, it gets stronger.
Yeah. On top of that, in second edition, it could, a lesser known common condition, it could dazzle a player. When in second edition, dazzled is they have a precise sense higher than vision. A dazzled creature considers all other creatures concealed from them, so it functions as
it's
a blanket.
Flash. Yeah,
you get cut off from your group. And then if you critically fail this burn eyes technique, you get just blinded. On top of that, could you imagine being blinded while getting pulled into this thing and just slowly eaten and then becoming part of the gibbering mouther?
And then it's just it's just so terrifying and disgusting when you think about it, because even with all these mouths, if they're not biting you, they're still making noise.
Yep.
So you've got this, you know what it looks like. You've seen it because you obviously have seen it. It dazzles you to where you have those big bright sun flares of light, like if you stare at the sun too long, and you hear this creepy mouthing sounds, and it's chewing on you, trying to swallow you. That's disgusting. Ugh. Number 5,
perhaps the most iconic out of the list.
One of the most iconic monsters ever created for D&D is everyone's beloved Mimic. Now, specifically, everyone would probably be like, well, why isn't a Mimic? Yeah, it's got its, the meme of it hiding as a treasure chest, and you go to open it, and it pops out and it grabs you, but that's specifically why it can be so deadly. It looks like a treasure chest. We are hard-baked in D&D to go, ooh, a treasure chest. There's loot in there. I want the money. I want the magic item. I want the spell scroll of a stupid cantrip, because you know what? It's magic. So, of course, you're going to open it. You're going to go look at it.
And we came to the conclusion that while it's deadly in any edition, it's particularly OD&D first edition, and actually its most recent iteration in fifth, maybe not 5.5 because we haven't
Yeah, I haven't
actually
really
checked
played.
that.
Yeah, but fifth, yeah, it seems like it got its teeth back.
It got its teeth back.
So yeah, you open it and it's biting you. It's got its tongue coming out. It's a perfect ambush predator. It thrives on that surprise, and it does this across all editions. And I like the idea of just like it it punishes the player for doing exactly what the game wants them to do. Especially back in early D&D when you needed gold you didn't
Buy experience.
gain experience. You had to use gold to buy your experience. So you needed to open chests to get gold. Now here's a monster punishing you for doing that exact thing. I don't know if it's supposed to be like a jab at capitalism or whatever, but I think it's
for
hilarious.
younger viewers, not to sound like that person, but back even before my
Back
day.
in my day.
No, even back before our day.
Before our day, yeah.
You bought experience through gold. You didn't defeat the monsters.
Yeah, you had to buy levels, so... But yeah, so that's probably why it in first edition, in my opinion, is because you needed to open these chests to get money, and now you're throwing a monster at them instead. Surprise! And then in fifth edition, it's got a shape-shifting ability because it can be anything.
I think it's always had.
Yeah, more traditionally, it was a treasure chest.
Yeah.
But fifth edition really kind of goes into a mimic could be anything. It could be a door. It could be the very castle you're walking in.
We talked about it in a previous episode. In fourth edition, there was the Elder Mimic tower, which it was a tower.
It was literally a 3-story tower. Yeah,
and it roamed around the woods. And for those people that were wondering what that was in, it was Creatures of the Nenter Vale. I have the book up on my shelf.
Oh yeah,
and it is I think it was a Monster Vault. Creatures of the Nenter Vale. It is a beautiful reference for 4th edition monsters if you ever want to convert from anything, but I really absolutely love the Elder Mimic, and we actually have the Elder Mimic tower converted to 5th edition on our Patreon.
So yeah, it is, in my opinion, that's why in 1st edition, all throughout D&D, and then now I'm glad in 5th it's gotten its teeth back. This is just one of those classic monsters that even people that don't play D&D know what a mimic is, or at least have heard of it. And if you've run into one, especially at a lower level, you know what they can do to you. They're just...
And to be honest, out of everything on the list, this is the only monster I have literally tattooed on me.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
I have a mimic dice and 2 other creatures that I will not name, but they are not on the list because I'll actually name them. We have a beholder; those are expectantly deadly.
Yeah, we're not saying they're not deadly. It's just these are the unexpected ones.
Yes, and then a black dragon. For anyone that knows me, black dragon is my favorite dragon.
Yeah, exactly.
For number 4, though, we're going once again back to 1st edition. It is the Roper. This is just a tried and true natural kind of trap monster, a terrifying ambush predator disguised as a stalagmite in a cave or in that type of cavernous area. With multiple tendrils, it reels at its players, and in 1st edition, they had this very particular mechanic that appears with some monsters in the more later editions, but it really got put to the side. It can drain your strength score and choose through armor and flesh alike. In 1E, I think players who lacked magic items and clever tactics often found themselves crushed in the dark. I know even back in 4th edition, which is basically D&D Monkskin, there's plenty of times, or lack of a better word, I got the crap beat out of me by these things. And that's not even like the deadliest edition of it.
Yeah, the talking about it can sap your strength. It's a ranged attack. It can shoot a sticky strand. Where is it? They can shoot a total of 6 once per round, as far as 50 feet. Each strand it can hold up to 750 pounds, and each time a strand each time a strand hits, the victim must make a successful saving throw versus poison or lose half of its strength, rounding down. So half of your strength rounded down. Now this is back in first edition. I did not play it, so I'm not 100% up on it. But let's just put that into modern times. Let's say if you've got an 18 in your strength, that's kind of coveted because you get a plus 4. Yeah, you cut your strength in half from an 18. That's a 9. You went from a +4 to a -1. Good luck with that.
And to be honest, among these, I do believe most of the time these things are classified as an aberration, and they're
A lot of
actually
aberrations.
and they're intelligent.
Oh yeah, they're smart. Yeah, and I think what's funny is that people are going to notice on this list. There's a lot of ambush predators, which I like because you're like, okay, you've got
That's unexpected.
Yeah, it's
that
unexpected.
That is the theme
that's
of the list.
Literal thing, but yeah, it's like you're not going to have the Minotaur busting in, and you're not going to have all of this. These are things you don't see coming, and so running into like a roper or something like this, especially for Merrick, for him losing half of his strength, that's not only is that his damage, that's his ability to hit. I roll low enough as it is,
And like alignment was a way bigger thing in 1E. They
Oh, yeah.
are chaotic evil. They're just going to be there to kill.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, ropers. Oof. We on next number 3. Oh, okay. Anyone who's good at mythology or has read up or whatever, like I did back in high school, you're gonna know about the Will-O-Wisp. And that's not Will of the Wisp; it's Will-O-Wisp. And specifically, we're going to be talking about the second edition. They are these. I've always pictured them as maybe soccer ball sized, maybe smaller, maybe softball sized. I guess they're supposed to mimic like a lantern, like lantern light in the swamp. But they're small-ish, glowing balls of light that are supposed to lure curious people into swamps or ruins or what have you. And then it shocks them with lightning, and then they disappear. Since they're small and nimble, they have a higher armor class. They've got spell resistances. They can go invisible. And if you don't know how to get around that invisibility, it can be infuriating to fight. And in second edition specifically, most low-level parties did not have a reliable way to hit them or to stop these things from running away if they got hurt. So if something can shock you with lightning, go invisible, relocate, and then do a spell again, and then go invisible again, it's going to drive you nuts. So you're going to need something that can either, like, more modern times, you've got like your fairy fires and stuff like that, your true sights. Back in the day, if you were a little party, you didn't have that. So you better
I
run.
do believe it's always had that consume life ability as well, where you used a minor or a bonus action. And
Oh yeah, fourth edition was a minor action, but yeah.
the Will-O-Wisp can target one creature within a certain amount of feet. I believe it was 5 off what notes I've taken here. And if they're still alive and they're unconscious, if I do believe, they must succeed a DC 10 con save against this magic, or they just outright die. And then the Will-O-Wisp gains HP off that. And then just floats off.
So yeah, it kills you and then eats your soul, lack of a better term, and it gets, oh cool, that was a good
But
meal.
you have
and
to
then
be
toodles off.
unconscious with 0 HP,
Yeah.
but still in that death saving unconscious.
death
You could be
saving throw,
stabilized though too. 'Cause
Yeah,
you're
you can be stabilized. Yeah, exactly. Yep. It just says 0 hit points. So that's why some spells, this is where it's good to have that one. Oh, where you come back to life with 1 hit point. It stops that ability. So yeah, it's deceptively like you think, oh, it's just a small little ball of light. No, it wants to kill you.
But that's why it makes number 3 on our list, just because it's so nimble and deceptive. And I mean, if you're already down,
Yeah.
you're being taken out. And on top of that, it can turn invisible.
Yeah, and hopefully you don't have a cruel DM and they send more than one. If you've got 3 or 4 of them.
Because I do believe these things, and I did not know this until we actually made the list, but they are undead. But I do believe they are pack creatures as well. Specifically, they seek to avoid physical combat with other creatures, preferring them to lead them to their deaths in swamps and around, as you had mentioned. And when pressed, however, they are dangerous adversaries that must be taken with the greatest care, or else they're taking care of you.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And I don't think their invisibility. It only says that. I think it only says if they don't attack, they're invisible. It's not that they have to consciously choose to go invisible. It's just, oh, I didn't attack this round. Bam, I'm invisible. And if they attack again, then they'll become visible again and all that fun stuff.
In 5th edition, I do know it was an action just to flick on and off, basically like a light bulb.
Oh, okay. But yeah, so they can fly, so there's a lot of your like terrain altering ability. Like if you could make rough terrain or whatever, that don't matter. It's and so that's why it probably favors bogs, is that if you're going through a bog and you're fighting through it, you've got restricted movement anyway from the marshy terrain or whatever. And so you're at either half movement or whatever, and it's just running around, flying around because that doesn't affect it. And now it's lobbing fireball or thunderbolts at you or lightning bolts, and good luck with that.
Number 2 is perhaps the second creature on our list that actually is in the D&D movie on Netflix. First one is the Mimic at number 5, but at number 2 we have the Intellect Devourer.
My favorite!
In particular, it has always been a deadly creature. It has always been low level and unexpected. But when me and Brent were making up this list and we're kind of discussing and comparing the stat box, we actually felt that the 5th edition one was the deadliest one.
Yeah, of the Intellect Devourers, I think the 5th edition one is more crazy than the others. Not just because it's one of the most recent things that's killed one of my characters, but it's so unassuming. You don't think it's that. I mean, you talk to anybody that plays D&D, they're going to, if you say what's one of the deadliest creatures, period, they're going to put Intellect Devourer on the list.
Especially if you're playing the tank.
Yeah, especially if you're playing the tank. Now, if you're a wizard or someone with a high intelligence or whatever, you'll probably be okay.
Now, the Intellect Devourer is typically depicted as a literal brain on legs. It sounds ridiculous, I know.
If you've played Baldur's Gate 3,
yep,
you have the very opening area, you have the opportunity to free an Intellect Devourer from a dead body. And it recognizes, spoiler alert for someone who hasn't played it, you've got a Mind Flayer tadpole, so the Intellect Devourer doesn't hurt you. Because it recognizes, hey, there's a tadpole in your head. You're an ally. And it will follow you around and help you. And it's the size of a beagle. It's a little brain with 4 legs. Like, I can squish it.
But it sounds ridiculous, as I was saying, until it actually eats your intelligence score and takes over your body, which has happened literally to our group. Yeah. It has happened to Brent, where I did set up an ambush, and I did not expect it to be that effective. I will admit, even as a DM, I'm like, this went a lot.
We got lucky it wasn't a TPK.
Yeah.
Honestly. Because
it took over Brent's character, Merrick's body, and Merrick is a tank. He started soloing the group.
And Nate was making fun of me because I'm going, this is what happens when Merrick rolls good. Nate's rolling crits and really high and hitting with everything, rolling amazing damage. I'm kind of going, why can't I roll like that? Merrick's soloing the whole party.
And the only way
the
only way the group took care of him is they banished him, took out the rest of the monsters in the room, and then prepared for him to come back.
Yeah, because they knew he was going to come back in a few rounds. It was, okay, how are we going to do this? Because this is bad. He could take us out.
And on top of that, if you're a low-level adventurer, you're done. Because the only way you're coming back after take over these is wish.
Yeah.
There is no raised dead. There is no, because you've lost your brain. You need a
functioning brain to be alive.
Yeah. So there's no greater restoration. It's a wish, and it states that.
Yeah, it specifically states that in its stat block. Yeah. Oh, these are
So
terrible.
if you're low level, you've lost your character and now they are controlled by the DM.
Yeah.
Hand me your sheet.
Yeah, one bad save and it's puppet master time.
In 5e, though, even seasoned adventurers, such as Brent, who's played for 2 decades, can get caught off guard, especially with how often it's hidden behind powerful masters like Mind Flayers or Aboleths or any
Yeah.
other aberration. One bad save, such as what Brent had,
Yeah.
means you're a meat puppet.
Yeah. And you can ask Nate, when he put those things out on the table and I realized what they were, I legitimately got terrified. Like, these things are going to kill me.
And
I
they
knew
did.
it. And which is why when we finally were able to bring Merrick back, the next time I was able to take a feat, I took Resilient. I made my intelligence go up by 1, and I now had proficiency in intelligence saves because that wasn't going to happen again.
And before we cut to number 1, I just want to read, we had mentioned it, I want to read part of the Body Snatcher ability just to show that how bad this thing is for a low-level group. This is word for word a quote. If the host's devoured brain is restored, only possible with a wish spell, the Innovac Devourer is forced out of the host. The Innovac Devourer can choose to leave the host at any time by spending 5 feet of its movement and then teleporting to an unoccupied space within 15 feet of the target. Unless the brain is restored within 1 round through the wish spell, the body's dead.
Yeah, he's dead. And that's what I believe that's what happened to Merrick is he died.
Yep.
Yeah. So, good luck with that.
You can also eject it through out of the body through like protection from good and evil, and I think there is one other spell that actually is not listed, but it is very hard to get this thing out of its host.
Yeah, once it's in there, it wants to stay. And if you even get it out of there, that's only half the fight. You've got now. You better hope your party wants to bring you back.
But that leads to Brent bringing up our
Number one, the ultimate sleeper threat, the half challenge rating Shadow. They drain strength with each hit. If they kill you, whenever a target reaches 0, they die and they rise as another shadow. In 5th edition, these are incorporeal, they're shadows, but in 5th edition, just a few of these can snowball into a full-on shadow plague in a dungeon. If there's a couple of shadows kicking in there already, and they send in a low-level adventure party, and they get taken out by these shadows, there's 4 or 5 more. And then you send in, I wonder what happened to those low-level adventurers. Let's go send in another group. They get taken out. There's another 4 or 5. Now you've got 15 running around.
Merrick actually ran into these right outside that crypt. A group of 3 wraiths and 3 shadows. And they got their stats decreased for a while until they figured out in character how to readjust it, which is a restoration spell.
Yeah.
We both, after kind of talking this one through, the 2nd edition one in particular is a bit nasty, but we really felt the 1st and the 5th are the ones that kind of shine out of the 2.
And they're pretty similar in stats between the 2. But yeah, with its strength drain, it's just a weapon attack. It's it hits you, and it's not like it's a special ability. It's just from that attack. And it specifically states melee weapon attack plus 4 to hit, reach 5 feet, 1 creature. On a hit, it's 2d6 plus 2 necrotic damage, and the target's strength score is reduced by 1d4. That's not a strength save. That's not a con save. It's solely based off your armor class. If it hits you, it does this. If the target dies, if the target's strength is reduced to 0, it dies. Otherwise, the reduction lasts until you finish a short or long rest. That's one of the cool things. If you survive, it's really easy to come back from that strength loss. However, if a non-evil humanoid dies from this strength loss, a new shadow rises from its corpse 1d4 hours later. Ugh. So
And then in 5th edition, it didn't even matter whether they were good or bad. The target dies if they're...
just
So
if
it is strength drain. It was a hit of +4. Hits for 9 damage or 2d6 plus 2 necrotic. The target strength is reduced by 1d4. You get hit by that a couple... If, like, let's say you have three or four of them around you, and these are only half challenge rating creatures, so that's why they are particularly deadly to a low-level party. The target dies if their strength goes to 0. Otherwise, the reduction lasts until the target finishes a long or short rest.
Thankfully, these things don't have multi-attack.
Actually, let me correct that. It does say at the bottom, if a non-humanoid dies from this, or non-evil humanoid dies from the task, a new shadow rises.
Oh, that's in 5th edition as well?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So, and that's 1d4 hours later, so it just doesn't, like, instantly make
it's not instant, but it gives the play... I mean, it takes pay on the players by saying 1d4 hours. It gives you time to do a ritual or to do something to bring them back. But you've got to deal with that. If you don't have the body... Yeah.
You're low level. If you don't have the body, and even at level 1 to 3... Raised dead is still kind of hard to come by.
It is. So you're going to... Yeah, that's why when a lot of people say that, oh, well, it's super hard to stay dead in 5th edition, I kind of go, yeah, but not really.
If you're... And it's no offense against any of the newer DMs out there.
No,
if you're a newer DM... You learn some nasty, wicked tricks. And there's certain monsters, such as our number 1, the Shadow, that I highly doubt your group's going to try and drag out this creature while half of their party's been sapped to death.
Yeah, if you're dying, and if you see 1 or 2 people go down to this, you're getting out of dodge. You're not worried about you dragging your player, your buddy out. Sucks to be you. I gotta live.
And you're level 1 to 3, so there's no real teleports. There's Misty Step.
Yeah, there's Misty Step, but yeah, and the thing is that's such a nasty ability. Like I said, a shadow is only a challenge rating half. So the DM, any DM will probably say, "Oh, I could just throw 2 or 3 of these at my party, and it's only a challenge rating half. What's the big deal?" Well, couple of bad rolls, and you're done. You're not a meat puppet. You're a completely different, creature now.
For you guys, our brave listeners, and mighty courageous fellow adventurers, that's our 10 monsters that you just never see they're coming till they're too late. From a brainwalking nightmare to silent killers in the dark. These, I feel, a lot of the time are the unsung horrors that prove D&D is not always just about dragons. Sometimes it's the things disguised as a floor tile or a pile of leaves.
Yeah, or that fellow adventurer out at night, and you're like, oh, hey, there's one of the town guards out there with their lantern going about their business. No, it's something that can go invisible and hit you with lightning.
If you agree with this list, if you disagree with it, though, leave a comment down below. Tell us what you think. Like, subscribe, share with us on our Discord. You can pick up the link on any of my bios. Love to hear your guys' thoughts on what you guys think is actually the deadliest if you don't agree that it's the Shadow. Hey, tabletop gamers. Thank you for watching this episode of the Hermit's Homebrew. We come out with new episodes every Wednesday. Remember to like, subscribe, and share with your friends as we continue to level up and grow.